I finally make clear everything. Our lives also are like a circle. When the fire at the center burns bright and strong, we are strong. Our visions are true. There dwells the master spirit. In dreams, he tells us stories that reveal the meaning of our life. These stories we must repeat to one another and to our children. Thus, the circle will always be strong and whole, and all things will be in harmony without and within. Do not fear. Do not forget. Who dreams from the center dreams true.
Man's need for myth must be as old as man himself. One must suppose that within the dawn of human consciousness there arose also the need to give meaning to the world, with word, with form, with picture. One wonders, what were man's first myths like? But perhaps the question should be, what were man's first dreams like? For myths and dreams are essentially the same. Myths, then, are not, strictly speaking, created. They happen. They happen the way dreams happen, and for the same reason. They are intended to do something. Myths serve as dramatic representations of our deepest instinctual life. They are a complex of stories which, for various reasons, human beings regard as the inner meaning of the universe and of human life. The motifs of these stories and dramatic representations, all so fraught with meaning, comprise the universal themes of world mythology. Carl Jung calls them the collective dreams of mankind. What are some of these dream myth motifs that mankind regards as demonstrations of the inner meaning of life? One of the most common is the theme of the mythological voyage or journey that serves as a metaphor of the journey of life, of spiritual discovery, of individual growth and awareness. Some of the greatest works of literature, the Odyssey, Pilgrim's Progress, Huckleberry Finn, Don Quixote, to name just a few, have the journey as their theme. Closely allied with the journey is the theme of the quest, the search for some rare treasure, for secret wisdom, for the elixir of life. The oldest work of literature we know is the story of the hero Gilgamesh, who journeys to the end of the earth in search of immortality. Another theme familiar in legend and myth is that of the temptress, a symbol of woman's power to enslave man's spirit and destroy him. In the Odyssey, the nymph Calypso holds Odysseus, love captive, for 7 long years. In Teutonic legend, the Lorelei, singing high above the Rhine, lures helpless boatmen onto the rocks below. Finally, there is the immortal theme of the star-crossed lovers. Perhaps no other theme so poignantly evokes the tragic beauty of life, of fugitive youth, of deep first love, forever lost, forever enduring in death. The list of archetypal themes and plots is a long one. Indeed, to name all of them would be nothing less than a roll call of all the great narrative ideas that structure human history. Though universal, the stories that embody these motifs vary in detail from culture to culture. Each group reshapes them to reflect and reinforce its ideals and values. In the great heroic ages of mankind, of the Greeks, the Franks, the Germans, the Irish, the American Plains Indians, the myths unite in a single message, bold and clear. Better to die young and gloriously on the battlefield than old and in one's bed. Thus we find the Greek hero Achilles, who had the choice, electing to die in battle. So did Roland, the Frankish hero, Cuchulainn, the Irish hero, and Siegfried, the Teutonic hero. We think of the Middle Ages as being a period rich in myth, and so it was. A major medieval myth was the concept of chivalry, a code of conduct, of moral order that served to reconcile barbarian violence with Christian teaching. Its finest expression appears in the myth of King Arthur and his Round Table Knights. Virtually everyone knows about Sir Launcelot, who loved Queen Guinevere, and Sir Galahad, whose strength was as the strength of 10 because his heart was pure. Together with the image of the perfect knight went that of the ideal woman, portrayed in tales of such mythic and quasi-mythic heroines as Guinevere, Brunhilde, the Valkyrie maid, Chimene, the beloved of the Spanish hero El Cid, Dante's Beatrice, idolized on earth, and in the Divine Comedy, exalted to the highest circles of heaven. It matters little where we turn in history. Everywhere we are in the presence of myth, shaping men's lives to beneficent or cruel ends. When the Spaniards entered Mexico, they found the Aztecs worshiping fearful gods that required daily sacrifices of human hearts. It is said that at the dedication of the great temple and pyramid in Tenochtitlan in 1479, some 20,000 victims were slain, thus marking the event and presumably ensuring the stability of state and universe. Yet we know these same people cherished a myth of a gentle white god they called Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl had once reigned on Earth in a golden age, and when he departed, promised he would one day return. The Aztecs even knew the year of his return. It was the year 1519 of our calendar, the same year Cortez landed at Veracruz, bringing a new order and a new god. But myths are not limited to distant times and legendary places. Our own time is as much a product of mythic shaping as ever the past was. Twice in this century, we have seen the diabolic myth of Aryan superiority plunge the world into horror. We have seen the millennial myth of communism divide the world and radically transform large parts of it. We have seen the rise of new religious myths, new economic myths, new technology myths. Consider now a few of the myths that have transformed our part of the world, the New World. The United States, as a nation, was conceived in certain beliefs about the nature of mankind and dedicated to propositions that were to constitute the most powerful myth of the 19th and early 20th centuries: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Not all the world believed the myth, to be sure, but many millions did, and pursued this dream in the vast tide of immigrants that swept to our shores. The dream had many names. One of them was the dream of the garden. To the European mind, the discovery of America was a momentous event, not least in its mythological significance, for here, suddenly revealed, was a whole new world, fresh and unspoiled as the day it was created, set apart, reserved to this moment in history for the manifestation of a new divine dispensation. God was giving man a second chance, a new Garden of Eden, where with a new Adam and a new Eve, the biblical drama would be reenacted, this time with a happy ending. In the primeval wilderness of America, there roamed the noble savage, uncorrupted by old world civilization. From him, the escaped European, who now styled himself the natural man, would relearn the lesson of innocence. It was a beautiful dream, and even though it quickly lost its Edenic bloom, it was to endure as one of the great controlling myths of American experience. It has been said that all Americans believe that the world was created in 1492 and redeemed in 1776. Mythologically speaking, there's much truth in those words. For what other people have boastfully claimed their land God's country, as if the rest of creation scarcely mattered in the eyes of Providence, a mere trial run before the grand event. From the start, Americans have regarded themselves as a chosen people, happily rescued from the tyrannous cycle of European history, having a new covenant with nature and a mission to demonstrate the blessings of democracy to all the peoples of the world. Wrote Thomas Paine, the apostle of the American Revolution, "We have it in our power to begin the world over again." It is a nation's literature that best reflects the course of its mythology. American literature, from James Fenimore Cooper to William Faulkner, has been predominantly concerned with an examination of the garden myth, confirming it, doubting it, eventually denying it. Today, in the face of our blatant technology, most Americans would probably say the garden is dead, buried under concrete and smog. Yet we are cautioned not to misread history. On the left side of the page, there is the American nightmare. But on the right side is the American dream. Always at the base of the American mind, there lies the dream of an unspoiled continent, waiting. For what? for rescue from the monster machines that have devastated it, that have leveled its noble forests, ravished its virgin hills for coal and metals, polluted its streams, fouled its once crystalline air with the noxious flatulence of factories? Yes, who can doubt it? The New World man, perpetually in search of a home, knows in his heart that his ultimate true home is the garden, regained. So runs the myth. Such myths die hard, if they die at all. Mainly, they simply transform themselves and re-emerge in new guise. So who can say where this stubborn dream may come to rest? On the Earth? On the Moon? On the red soil of Mars? And here we come to a point in man's history where dream and machine, no longer antagonists, now join hands to form a new mythology. Space mythology. Baffled as we are today, frightened by the problems of an atomic world, we fix our hopes elsewhere, beyond the present, beyond the confines of our crowded planet. Some of us have already begun to live in this new mythological environment. Scientists like Carl Sagan of Cornell University, writers, artists, and visionaries like Arthur C. Clarke, C.S. Lewis, Ray Bradbury, Kurt Vonnegut Jr., even theologians, perhaps even the 20 million Star Trek fans. There is the matter of flying saucers. Now, whether we believe them real, vehicles from outer space, or merely wishful imaginings, the fact remains that a great many people on Earth do accept them as real. People believe in flying saucers for a variety of reasons. One reason is that they need to believe in them. They need a myth. Several versions of the flying saucer myth can be recognized. The first states that space is teeming with life, and that many regions were inhabited and perhaps highly developed before the Earth even began. This version believes that intelligent beings from outer space once landed here and helped begin life on Earth. And now these creatures from their elusive vehicles watch over us and guide our fate. And when things get really bad on Earth, as they seem likely to do, these interplanetary saviors will intervene. This messianic view has received support from many religious individuals, including clergymen. Evangelist Billy Graham finds flying saucers astonishingly angel-like in some of their reported appearances, and possibly part of God's angelic host, who preside over the physical affairs of universal creation. Another religious spokesman holds that flying saucers are really the mysterious creatures the Bible refers to as principalities, powers, dominions, and thrones. To others, flying saucers offer a means of planetary escape for the human race. Perhaps only for the elect, who will be snatched up in the flesh and transported to paradise. A second version of the flying saucer myth holds that our planet is being watched by hostile eyes that covet it for colonization. But perhaps these creatures on their own planet are threatened with extinction and seek more promising ground. Perhaps they're interstellar wanderers, 10,000 light years away from home, weary and homesick for a garden. Whatever the case, their coming, say these doomsday mythologists, can only mean the extinction of our race. We might call this the apocalypse version of the myth. then a third and far bolder version of the myth exists. It looks to no supernatural solutions, but to human technology and human imagination. It envisions new dimensions for man's spirit and new worlds in space for him to conquer.
Start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It has even drawn up the design for this grand scheme. To the government, the design is only an item in the budget labeled Space Program. But to the visionaries who conceived it, and to those who celebrated the von Brauns, the Sagans, the Bradburys, the Clarks, and the poets, it is a cosmic myth, the most intoxicating, terrifying, and crucial adventure man has ever launched himself upon. In missiles that bear the names of mythological deities, Mercury, Saturn, Gemini, Atlas, Apollo, man has shoved off from Canaveral toward who knows what unthinkable San Salvador, somewhere in Alpha Centauri. The myth behind the design goes something like this. Life may or may not exist on other planets in space. The evidence is lacking. It is possible, however, that man is the only intelligent being in the Milky Way galaxy.
Tranquility base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot. I'm at the foot of the ladder. The limb footbeds are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches. And step off the limb now. That's one small step for man.
If this be true, then mankind may have a momentous role to play in the cosmic drama. Dr. Ronald Bracewell of Stanford thinks that it may be nature's plan to develop an intelligent being on Earth who will then colonize our solar system and galaxy. The first step in such a plan would, of course, be the moon. Within a decade, we should have colonies there. After that will come Mars, and then... To the Scottish psychiatrist, Alan McGlashan, the space myth is simply man's intuitive recognition of his predestined role as an instrument of the cosmic plan.
By this contemporary adventure into space, we are merely actualizing one of life's basic drives. We are no more than the tools chosen for the job. Despite priest and scientist and homespun moralist alike, nothing is more certain than that we shall continue to fling human beings into the terrifying abyss of outer space. We are driven on this desperate course by a need transcending human fear, life's indecipherable need to find new breeding grounds for life.
Biology, the science of life, tells us that when species are threatened with extinction, they sometimes alter and evolve new forms. Can it be that man, aware of the threat to his planetary existence, has at some deep level of his being embarked on an evolutionary course toward a higher form of life? Somewhere out there? All this is myth talk, of course. But what other way has man to tell his story, past, present, and future, except as myth, as dream? the Kalahari Bushmen believe that all of creation is a dream, that somewhere there is a dream dreaming us. If this should be so, and if Shakespeare should indeed have guessed the truth when he said, "We are such stuff as dreams are made on," then such a dream, if it ever could be told, would it not also be a myth? A myth that, told in the accents of eternity, might finally make clear everything